everyone, Zane the Penmeister here, back for another episode of Behind the Screen, and today with me, we have Cameron, Amber, and Invader. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hola.
I have no funny sequitur for today.
So that's what's here, Tavarish.
I mean, all the humor went to your phone, so
Fuck you!
I guess when your phone died, your humor went with it.
I mean, I was
I
tempted to
mean-
improvise a song, but like,
All right. Well, guys, did you know something special about this year for D&D?
It's an anniversary, isn't it? One of the big
It's a
ones.
10-year. It's a 10-year
It's
anniversary
50th.
for its 50th anniversary for the actual D&D itself, but it is the 10th anniversary for 5th edition.
That is indeed impressive.
Mhm.
And later this August, we'll be seeing one D&D released, or whatever it's called.
6e. That's the only thing I'm going to call it.
We'll see how
5.5e,
it
I've
looks.
seen it called 5.5e. So
Okay.
I'm not a 0.5 again.
Hey, 3.5 was pretty good.
3.5. 3.5 is still my favorite version.
even if
Well.
it be chunky.
Although, to be fair, 3.5 was when I was really getting into the game.
I can't judge
Overall-
other editions. I've only ever played 5.8.
Well, guys, as you know,
Overall, I think... Sorry.
it's all right. Go ahead.
Overall, I think Gary Gygax would be very happy to see what his game has become.
Yeah.
The community that has grown up around it is very much what he was trying to do in the first place.
He'd be very happy with what his game's gotten. He'd not be happy with what Wizards of the Coast is doing to it.
This is true. I know for a fact he is rolling in his grave at this.
Yes.
But yeah, as you know, this year marks 10 years since 5th edition was released.
Yeah.
And since the first 3 core rule books for it, there have been a lot of additional content that's been released since then. So my question for y'all is, out of all the supplemental content that Wizards of the Coast has released for 5th edition, which one do you think has impacted the way we play 5th edition the most?
Tasha's. I mean, personally, I use Tasha's a lot. Every chance I get, really. My favorite druid build is actually in Tasha's, which is Circle of Stars. And while broken, it is so much fun. There are also some really good druid spells in there, so it is super useful for me.
For me, Tasha's is I always end up using the special rule that they've got in Tasha's, which I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's the Heritage Rule, the one that that does away with the you pick this race, therefore these are your bonuses.
Yeah.
Because whilst I can understand why that exists, it's also a really why that exists in the before Tasha's. It also is just a really great way for people to maybe play races that they've never considered playing before, because some people might look at one race and go, oh, so this would be perfect. So this particular race would benefit more from this class, which is a class I don't particularly like, so I'm not going to end up actually playing that class. So I'm not going to play that race, which is like, no, the whole point of D&D is to have a world of absolute chaos and mixing of everything. So having people being able to go, okay, forget the racial bonuses in terms of strength, dex, con, and wisdom, intelligence, and charisma. I know I got wisdom and intelligence the wrong way around. Fight me on it. But the fact that people can go, actually, can we do this? So then that way I can still play the class I like, but I want to see how it would work with this particular race. That's perfectly fine.
It really is. My roommate borrowed my Tasha's, otherwise it's usually sitting right next to me.
I had access to Tasha's.
You know, I was gonna make an argument for Xanthar's, but then I thought about the heritage rule, and I'm like, yeah, it was probably Tasha's. Because Xanthar's does a lot to change the game too, in the way a lot of people play it.
Yeah.
Xanthar's is a close second. Absolutely adore this book. That is the other one. There are 3 books that sit right next to me when we play. Xanthar's, Tasha's, and, of course, my PHP.
Yeah.
What
I was
about you,
gonna say-
Invader?
Oh yeah, Invader. Hello.
I actually don't know.
Oh.
Sorry to put you on the spot there. I was just like, oh, we've didn't want you to feel left out, mate.
No, I was just sitting here. It's like I just like when dice hit board.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You know, that is indeed reasonable.
But I mainly the reason I don't have an answer is because it mainly boils down to I mainly had one DM who was holding up every campaign by duct tape and sheer will, and they somehow worked out perfectly well for years.
To be fair, I
Except
think that's
when they're
how every DM functions.
You have access to duct tape? I only get brown electrical tape.
Well, that's what you
You
get
guys
for
get
being in
tape?
England.
You guys
What?
get tape? I get 100-year-old hemp rope that just fraying at the seams. It's just
Still better than duct tape, actually, I would argue.
but it's like I never knew any of the books. I've only recently started
that's fair.
messing about with stuff.
Hell, one of my DMs from high school, he's been playing for like 8 years now, and the only book he owns is the basic rules book from the starter kit.
So
I have to
I-
say the basic rules book then, because that's the only one I know the most about.
So I think it goes without saying that every player should have a copy of the PHP, whether it's digital or physical, or access to a copy. If you're playing at the same table, sharing a copy is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Yep. And bare minimum, the basic rules, which you can get for free online.
Yeah. That being said, because I've been playing so long, I have quite the extensive library.
You got the
So
repertoire.
you've seen it. I have the purple box from First Ed.
Mm-hmm.
My pride and joy, which still has all of the dice, and that box is just, it'll probably never actually get used again, but the fact that I have it is just so important to me. But I've also got AD&D, both the DM's guide, the monster manual, and the player's handbook out on my shelf. I've got a bunch of 3.0 and 3.5 books. I do not have any of the 4.0 books.
We don't talk about 4.0, apparently.
I played one campaign in 4.0, and then life just kind of got away from me. It was that time period where I was starting to work and I was becoming an adult, so like I didn't have time to play. I will say that about COVID. It has given me a lot more time to game again.
Speaking of you playing for years, Amber, you've been playing D&D for over 20 years, yeah?
I have been playing D&D for 30 years now, yes.
So you've experienced the highs and lows of each edition, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
So here's my question for you. are there any rules from a previous edition that you wish they added to 5e?
There were a lot of things in 3.5, and it's not so much rules. They took away a lot of skills. And they consolidated a lot of skills. And for us old school players, we go to try to do something and we're like, wait, you can't do it that way. How do we do this now? Like we used to have 20 different knowledge skills to try to figure something out. And now you've got 4 or 5. And it's just,
Yeah.
for us old school players, it gets really confusing sometimes. I find that the game that Ski runs for me, actually, because we're all old school players except for one person. This happens regularly. We'll try to do something. And like 4 of us are sitting here and we're like, okay, so we want to do this. And somebody throws out 3.5 rules without even thinking about it because that's what we have memorized. And then we realize it doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah. Them making 5th edition the way they did, they made it beginner friendly, but then they made it, the people who've been playing for years, it's a lot more complicated.
They
'Cause
did.
when I started playing D&D, I was about 13 years old. 5th edition had been out for about a year now, but the group I was learning from, we played 3.5. My very first campaign was a 3.5. It's the only 3.5 I've played since. Yet I still get a couple of the rules mixed up for 5th edition ever since my first campaign, like surprise round.
Oh god, surprise rounds were so much easier in 3.5.
Yes, they were.
So Ski's game, we actually use 3.5 rules for surprise rounds still. Um, which a really good and a really experienced GM, please do not try this if you are not an experienced GM, can mix the rules up between 3.5 and 5, or even pull in other rules or house rules easily and seamlessly. Um, that's not to say that a new GM couldn't pull it off, but you're going to confuse yourself if you do. And it's better to learn the system inside and out and then start tweaking it.
Speaking of seasoned DMs, Cameron,
Hello.
you have been a DM for a few years now for different games and D&D,
Yeah.
taking your players on adventures through worlds of your creation. What do you try to have planned out before that first session? And how long do you usually spend building the framework of the campaign setting before you get your players together to make characters and play that first session?
Okay, so I homebrew a lot. Depending on the scale of the campaign I've got in my mind, I will have a basic idea of the world. So I'm going to use 2 examples of games that I've run that have happened. One was a game inspired by the Castlevania Netflix series, and therefore also the Castlevania video game series. So I created effectively a fantasy version of the Balkans, and had little kingdoms and created like a story as to why the little kingdoms were doing what they were doing. Certain areas had special little tidbits here and there. So, for example, there was one kingdom that had recently been conquered by the world's equivalent of the Mongols. There was another kingdom that had just had a coup d'etat, and the new ruler was trying to consolidate rule. So there was that campaign. Another campaign I ran was using Monster Hearts as a setting, as the rules. And what Monster Hearts is it's a group of teenagers who have developed supernatural powers. So it could be that one has become a werewolf, one's become a warlock, one is a vampire, one's now a witch, that sort of thing. And the roleplay setting is high school, but now they also have to deal with the powers. So having to deal with coming to terms as someone becoming an adult, and also, oh no, even more trauma. So what I did for that one was I just created the town. Very, very different to how I normally run games, to the massive world that I created for the Castlevania campaign.
Fiorenore.
Fiorenore as well, in that sense, as well. It's going to be this enormous one across an entire peninsula. But you've got this tiny little town that has a population of 6,000. Just to help people out and to prevent terrible accents, I claimed that the school was an international boarding school in Switzerland. It has 6,000 people normally, and then in winter that triples because the town is a ski resort. And the school has been around for 300 years. It was because we've got, the supernatural element, I decided the school was built by a member of the Bavarian Illuminati, which is the original Illuminati, who was also a Freemason, because a lot of the original Illuminati were based off of, were Freemasons as well. And then the school has been around, and it's one of these very high established ones. And then the players also had influence in the design. Something that I did with them that I really like to do, that I should do more often actually, is I said to them, okay, give me a location. And then they added to it. So, for example, one character added a pizza place that is quite popular with the students. Another person added a nearby forest where the coven meets. Another person described the waterfront because this is located on a lake as well. So they added their own little bits, and also with Monster Hearts, you also have them help create the class. So you get all the NPCs from your players as well, and you form connections as well in that way. So when it comes to planning something, I will at least have the main location that we're starting with. I will have a basic idea of what the outer world is like. And then as time goes on, if players decide, okay, we need to go somewhere, we want to go somewhere else, or I feel like, okay, this area is going to become a bit stale, maybe I can move the players somewhere else, I will start to develop that one. But I always like to have like a basic idea of what is going on in the world before I actually tell players, hey, I've got a campaign. Also depends on the system.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to plan when the world is the modern world or some variation of it versus, it's a high fantasy setting, so Now I have to create everything.
And
This is
try
very
not to
true.
just cheat and try not to just do everything from Owl House or something like that.
I can get away with that because guilty as charged. I have not watched Owl House. Not that I don't want to. I do want to watch it. I just have not gotten around to it.
You know, it'd be a really good campaign setting. Have you all seen Inside Job?
I have.
Yes,
Nope.
That seems like a really good Delta Green campaign setting.
definitely.
Gonna agree
No,
with
I'll have to
you
check
right
it out.
there.
For those of you unfamiliar, Inside Job is a comedy series that
Following Reagan Ripley as she
Yes.
works at Cognito Inc.
yeah, basically they managed to take all the conspiracy theories and go, okay, this company is now in charge of all the conspiracy theories. So
Think Rick and Morty if it was actually written by people who know how to write good.
And
which
Oprah
explains
is the head of the Illuminati.
Yes. Oprah's the head of the Illuminati. The Queen and Anderson Cooper are reptilians.
Keanu
And
Reeves is a good vampire.
one
I
thing
mean,
that
we
the
already
show,
knew that.
yeah, and one thing that the show did that was actually really good was it avoided falling down the biggest pitfall of a lot of those conspiracy theories, which is the fact that quite a few of them are anti-Semitic in nature. Like the show
Like the
was
lizard
like,
people theory.
yeah, the show was like, nope, there's no, we're gonna have the conspiracy theory, but we're gonna make sure that it does not promote this bullshit idea. This is a comedy series. We are not going to promote. I mean, they made an entire episode making fun of flat earthers. God bless them.
It was hilarious.
Mark Zuckerberg gets eaten by a fucking sea monster. I fucking can't. Not Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos.
Yes, because Mark Zuckerberg is also a reptilian. In the show.
Again, I say again, Rick and Morty, if it was written by people who don't have their heads up their fucking ass.
Which is why it only lasted 2 seasons before getting cancelled. Damn you, Netflix!
Don't remind me. It's set up for such a good fucking plot arc for season 3, and they fucking weren't able to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Invader,
Yeah.
you've been a player for a few years now, right?
I'd say like about 4.
And you've graced us with a couple amazing characters, Patch and Sunny, who everyone at home will meet. Will have
This week.
met already.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
for us, it's this week, but for y'all, it'll have been a couple weeks ago. But my question for you is: would you ever consider taking a shot at being the one behind the DM screen? And what type of setting would you try to run?
Ooh, okay, that's So I have considered it a few times. I have. And like I have had ideas of like settings I could do and like encounters. I even have some written down. Um I'm it's a maybe because like there's the part of me that's always going to be scared. I find it challenging enough to be a player correctly. I know there's no correct way, but you know.
Yeah.
Not bring down a session as a player. And I feel that fear would breed over into the DM space. I would consider it. I would because I feel like I could be a good like narrator and like make you feel like, oh yeah, we're here. It's just nerves. Because, like, I had this one idea about, like, for a DM, for, like, a fucking city in a campaign idea I had that I think could work. Because I brought up it basically involves like a love potion type thing, and I very much call out what a love potion is, which is fucked up. And it's like a whole town that's under a love potion under a guy who's just obsessed with being loved. I even thought about how it would work, how it would affect players. It's a maybe. I have thought about it, and I have like looked into how I would go about it. Yeah, I would. If I had to say what setting I would want it to be, I would either try to go for a classic like fantasy, like old-timey setting, or I'd go full balls to the wall and make a cyberpunk campaign. I love a good cyberpunk, and I'd go full balls to the wall with it.
Cyberpunk can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes, it can. Steampunk can be really fun too.
Oh, I
Oh,
I
yeah.
would. I should. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'd also do. I'd also try to go for steampunk.
As long as it's
what?
not Vegapunk, we're good.
Oh, it's not what? Sorry,
Vegapunk.
Vegapunk.
It's not like cyberpunk or steampunk. It's a character.
Okay. I was thinking, is this for some? I was like, is Los Angeles the capital of the world or something? Oh no, that's Vegas punk. Oh no, Cyberpunk Las Vegas though.
Hmm.
I mean that's basically just Macau, I think. Sorry, Invader, you've given that. It's a brilliant idea you've got there, but because my mind is cursed forever to think of Harry Potter, from working at the tour, I've just got the idea that it's Gilderoy Lockhart giving everyone in Diagon the entire Wizarding world love potions to make him Minister of Magic.
If this is
Yep.
pre-Chamber of Secrets, he probably could have ran and won though.
Probably.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. It might have been a narrow win, but he would have won.
It is possible.
Yeah.
Can I like tell you guys how I think a love potion would work? How I'd write a love potion?
Yeah, I think that would be.
So essentially, how a love potion would work if I was writing it, because I thought about this because I've always had the mentality of love potion story arcs are fucked up. Like, love potions are essentially fucking date rate drug depth.
Words.
Take a second.
English is 17.263 languages in a trench coat.
Did I say date rate drums?
Yes.
Something like that.
Something like that.
And then you said game Ray Bruggs.
There were words in there that did not go together.
Honestly, I thought you were going to say bullywug at one point.
But they're essentially date rape drugs. Fucking got it. So I
Why
thought,
would you
how
have
would I?
date rape drugs, man?
But like, I thought, how would I go about it? So the way it works is, it's essentially a potion that makes you infatuated with one person to a degree. Like, basically, on a town level, you'd be worshipped like a celebrity. The way you, and it doesn't work like first person you see, that's how it works. You'd put a tiny piece of your DNA in the potion, And it can be microscopic. It just needs to be in there. And then thoughts will run through the person's head of the person who made the love potion. And it's essentially like an addictive drug because it kicks in the part of your brain that gives you dopamine and euphoria.
So amortentia.
Basically. The
Yeah,
way the town would
amortentia.
work is that the way he got control was he managed to fucking love potion this fucking town's water supply. And the moment he got control of the town, he started expanding. He essentially put aspects of the love potion in everything. Food, water, you name it. It's to the point where fucking newborn babies are born being obsessed with this guy.
Damn.
To the point, if you tried to cut off people cold turkey off of this drug, it's so integral to their system, they would die.
So they can
Because if
never move away.
they can never. Well, I mean, the originals who were trapped there could possibly quit cold turkey. It would just be like getting off of crack cocaine after years and years of being on it. But the people who were born there on it, they're stuck. They are there forever. Because even if you try to slowly exit it out of the system, it's still that integral to their system.
So, hold on. That leaves a very interesting thing because you wouldn't be able to kill this big bad. Otherwise, this whole population would just be wiped out after a while.
Because their obsession's gone.
Oh my god, that's
That-
That is
diabolical.
evil.
That is genius.
I love
I
it.
love it.
Hell, I even thought of like a section where the players would discover it. And he's like, all right, well, y'alls were fun, but pushes them into a pit. And that's where I introduce the people who are so dependent on it, but not integral to it. And they're essentially feral beasts who are fiending for more of this drug. Like, they're essentially like feral, fucking tooth gnawing, face eating monsters, barely even human. Only human by the definition that they can talk, but still want it so bad that they're willing to do anything to get it.
So, got it.
Wow.
I've got a ooh,
Right?
steals for Lemillion Peninsula.
No.
You have permission.
You know what?
I'll
Don't
probably
give
do
him
that for
ideas.
that would
That
be a
is
Delta
some
Green
really good
scenario for me.
inspiration. That is some really good inspiration right there.
Yeah.
Hell, I even thought of how like that like town big bad would even like avoid getting killed. What? You gonna kill me? You kill me, you kill all these innocent people. I'm
That's when you
so integral to their lives, baby. Baby, that you cut me off, you cut all of them off. When I said I was the heart of this place, I meant it. You cut off me, they all trickle like flies. Sexy, sexy little flies.
are they? Is this big? Would this big bad be immortal in any way?
He's mortal. He is mortal as shit.
So when he dies, the town dies anyway.
Well, he's such a flagrant narcissist that it wouldn't matter to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter to him.
That is like something I've had in my head for years. Like if I were to DM, that would definitely be a fucking town you encounter. I thought of how players would like, see, like if they accidentally drank something that had a love potion in it, I would have it that you would roll wisdom for it. If it's
Yeah.
a small amount, you could make it. Like it wouldn't be that high of a roll. But like say you fucking drank it straight, like concentrated. You're gonna need to fucking pass that. you would be unable to disobey this big bad's like orders if you failed the wisdom save.
So it's a liquid Geas then.
Mm-hmm. It
Jesus.
physically hurts you to disappoint the guy. Physically.
Invader, please make this setting. I really want to play it.
I mean, that's just a small part. Like that's a small part of like this big like D&D setting I've had an idea for years.
All right. So I've got one final question for y'all.
Okay.
Y'all's characters in the Blight of Auren each have the ability to wield and cast spells, using them in creative and effective ways. It had me thinking. Do y'all have a favorite spell?
We all know mine's Moonbeam.
Yeah. We all know yours is. I mean, you can't go wrong with a good fireball. Which is just basically a hand grenade.
It does more than a hand grenade. You're talking
I
a
am
20-foot
a
radius.
disguised self-enjoyer.
Honestly, I think for me, greater invisibility. Because if I had that ability, oh, I could fuck around with so many people. I could. Here's the thing, like, I wouldn't use it for anything bad. I will stress that now. I'm not gonna do that thing where I'm gonna be cheeky. I am Peeves the Poltergeist. That being said, I will not do anything that would count as an offense. I do like the idea, however, of potentially messing around with people. So, for example, use it to sneak into the tour, into the studio tour. Because we always say that the tour is haunted. And then, because greater invisibility, anything you're wearing disappears with you, I could mess around big time. We've got a section of the tour that has a fog machine section.
Mm-hmm.
Just go stand in that. Have the fog, let the fog really build up, and then go stand in it, and people will see just my legs and my half my torso covered in fog as it rolls down from the Forbidden Forest. Start picking up the wands in the wand shop and and just scooching them.
When one kid goes to swish and flick their spell, you knock a couple of wand stacks over.
Oh, I've got the perfect one. Actually, this anytime someone tries to reach over the barrier and pet the buckbeak they've got at the tour, just give them a smack around the back of the head.
Oh yeah.
Do not touch anything. Do not touch anything that is behind a fence at a tour or museum, people.
Please respect the things, because if you touch them, they will break faster.
It's like every year the British Museum has to replace the mock-up of the Rosetta Stone that they have that's open to the public. because people keep touching it so much that they keep erasing all the text on it. It'd be great. I'd just go around and then like whisper in someone's ear when they're expecting to get spooked.
I'll be honest with y'all. My favorite spell has to be Zephyr Strike. It's my favorite spell of all time. I always use it when I play a ranger. I mean, come on, it's advantage on one. It's a bonus action spell that gives you. It lasts for a minute and gives you advantage on your first weapon roll each turn, a bonus D8 damage, and increases your movement speed, whether you miss or hit.
Yeah.
And the spell lasts a minute.
10 rounds of
Yeah.
combat.
It's fucking busted for a level 1 spell. Sure, it's concentration, but you're a ranger. What else are you gonna do?
I would also like to raise Spiritual Weapon as a very good one. Just because you can have the weapon be anything. The last time I played a cleric, it was a butterfly axe, and the axe was actual butterfly wings.
That's pretty sick.
My
Yeah.
character was obsessed with butterflies. Good old Gildy. And then Taliesin went and stole my character idea. I think I've got a question.
Ooh.
We have we do have a lot of settings for already established, pre-arranged settings. We've got the Forgotten Realms, Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, those areas. I'm kind of curious if anybody here has a preference as to what established setting they would like to play in.
I do like Waterdeep, not gonna lie.
Waterdeep is always a good one.
I think Amber's internet. Oh, there we go. You
Yep,
cut out.
internet problems. Yay!
You cut out just as you said. Waterdeep is always a good one.
Yeah, Waterdeep is always a good favorite one.
The timing. Try that again.
Squawk.
Said
Squawk.
Waterdeep. Anytime you try to talk about anything other than Waterdeep, it cuts. Blizzard, it's like, don't talk about anywhere else. Don't talk about anywhere else. I actually, so I do have Icewind Dale, the book, and I would definitely like to run that as a campaign at some point as well.
I think Icewind Dale was probably my favorite for a very long time.
What about you, Invader? You got any favorites?
Much like the first question, I do not.
Yeah.
That is fair.
You'll learn. You'll learn as we get there.
I think this one would
As
be also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
As long as I don't have to go into those damn mines again.
But
Ever.
Palaven needs something.
I'm going to say this now. If any of you try to say anything about Dungeon of the Mad Mage, I am getting up from that table and you'll never see me again.
For me, it's a case of they really need to do better with Tomb of Annihilation, with the trying to actually find the city where the tomb is. There needs to be so much more variety in that. Though the zombie T-Rex was a welcome addition, I still need to use that against a party.
Knowing if
I
you did it
will.
against this, knowing if you did it against this party, we'd probably find a way to skip over the encounter entirely, like last.
Why do you think?
Or
Why do you think I don't like Dungeon of the Mad Mage? They decided to clock the groom over the head, take the princess, and leave. They didn't even go down the fucking dungeon. And it's also why I don't play modules anymore.
yeah. I will say all of the current media sensation modules and spin-offs they've been doing, I don't see the point in them.
Yeah. Take them and use them as good campaign stories, but that's about it for campaign points. But otherwise, it's not any other real reason.
Again, it's something that Gary would have not been
It's-
happy about.
Yeah.
Um, I will say one of the highlights of my D&D over the years, I actually got to play at one of his tables.
You lucky bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. That is an
I bow
experience I will
down to
never
you.
forget.
I bow down to you.
Same, actually.
Yeah,
He
me too.
was a fun and amazing man and will forever be missed.
I just always love the story of because he was spending so many long hours in the basement. His wife thought he was having an affair, so she went downstairs one day thinking she was going to catch him or something. No, he was just working on Dungeons and Dragons with a bunch of the other people.
Yeah. Yeah. His wife was a sweetheart, though.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've got another one.
Do, do, do.
Which class would you be?
In real life?
In real life? If you could pick a class,
Ooh.
which one would you be?
Okay. Do you want my real answer or do you want the smart answer?
We can have the smart answer, but I also want the real one.
The smart answer is wizard. But the real answer, I'm multi-classing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna multi-class into 5 different classes of different level scaling just so I can say I could deal 900 damage in one turn.
See, the problem there is if we're saying approximately a level per year.
I'd be level 20. Well, level 22.
I would be just shy of level 40. So at this point, I would have gone Shadow Dancer and thrown in levels of Druid.
Honestly, I would have done what Brennan Lee Mulligan did for that one shot when he played 5s and did those 5 classes.
Um, I'm about to start ranting about something, and I'm like, wait, you guys are probably not going to catch this. For a while there were special classes that you can get, but you have to be like level 12 before you could start doing them. Shadow Dancer was a combination of sorcerer and rogue. And Did I lose my Wi-Fi again? No, I'm still
No,
here.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
it just
So the thing about Shadow Dancer is you don't just have silent step. You have the ability to melt into the shadows and literally pop out of other shadows.
ooh.
And it's a rogue that can cast spells. Throw in Druid for my Moonbeam and heals. I would be untouchable. And I would still have many, many levels to go.
I think
But
we have.
then again, nearly level 40, I could take all of you.
No, you can't. I'm Dimension Door in every turn.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you Dimension Door, I Shadow Step.
and I go hide in Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion as a bard.
Yeah. And Shadow Step is not a spell. It's an action. Which means I
Well,
do not use
I have
slots.
levels in Gloomstalker Druid, so I hide in darkness. Have fun.
But you can't hide in darkness from a rogue who can Shadow Step.
Oh, that is sick.
Right. There's a reason I love Shadow Dancers. Right. I know a few of us have other places to be today, but I do have one last question for you all. Physical books or digital?
Physical.
Physical.
Coming from someone who doesn't own any of the books, physical. There's just something. I am a huge proprietor of. Hell yeah. I'm a huge proprietor of owning physical media. There's just something more personal having it in your hands right there, you know?
There's that. I think also for me, it's being that old school player. Digital books weren't a thing 10 years ago. I still have a lot of my physical books, and it's just a big part of the game for me. Just like even if we are rolling online, I do still have physical dice.
Mhm.
I might be a dice dragon. I have well surpassed dice goblin.
You've got the Horde.
I have 3 giant dice bags and a chest. And I'm constantly finding loose dice because I need another container. Cameron has seen this firsthand.
There's a reason I'm staying quiet.
Smart man.
I will say this though. I may not have a lot of dice, but at least I can put one on top of throne.
There is that, yes.
There is that. That is amazing.
And then of course, the timeout chair.
That is awesome.
And for those you wondering at home, yes, I do use them in our games.
Yes, he does.
He does.
I think this is a good place to wrap.
What?
So,
Oh
for our
wait,
listeners, oh, go
I
ahead,
never
Donator.
answered the real life
What
class
class would you be?
question.
Right. Yes.
So joking answer, none of them because my stats would be jack and shit, and I would just die instantly. I'd be level -50.
Now we have to put you in one of those games where you can die in character creation just to see how it goes.
Wait, that's a thing.
Traveler does that, doesn't it?
Traveler does that. Original Call of Cthulhu could do that as well.
The system I'm making for the Walking Dead campaign does it.
I'm pretty sure we're a live frontier. Outbreak Undead probably also have something like that.
Werewolf also allows it.
Yeah, we're. But
But
Invader, go on.
real answer, despite the fact I've never played this class, weirdly, I would say bard. I would say I'd be a bard.
Bards are
Bard
fun.
is fun.
Mainly because I love being an entertainer.
Same.
All right. So I think we really are at the end because,
Yep.
as I said, a few of us have places to be. That being said, for our listeners and viewers, if you have questions you want us to answer, email us at OfDiceandPenYT@gmail.com or come find us on Discord. We want to chat with you. We want to get to know our listeners.
And
And
on the
if
official Discord, I have opened up a channel for anyone who has questions for Behind the Screen.
Yeah. And if you are a game master or a long-term player and want to guest appear here on Behind the Screen, reach out.
All right, guys. Well, again, this has been this episode of Behind the Screen, and I'd like to say again, thank you very much, my wonderful goblins and gremlins. And as always, this is the Penmeister signing out.